The observation deck of the Varith Concordat hummed with the low frequency of 12 alien species holding their breath at once. Kalen stood at the center console, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his scaled back, his amber eyes fixed on the combat arena below. He was the finest combat instructor the Concordat had produced in 3 centuries, a Veth warrior who had trained champions from 9 different species, a being whose career was built on the ironclad certainty that combat could be measured, analyzed, and mastered through patience and superior physiology. He had asked to observe the human. He had not expected to feel afraid. Her name was Zarya. The dossier had been thin. 26 years old by human reckoning. Former military. Homeworld classified as a Deathworld, Category 4, which meant the atmosphere alone could dissolve the membranes of 3 Concordat species. The gravity ran 1.0 standard, which sounded forgiving until you remembered that every creature that evolved under it had done so competing against things that wanted to eat them, and the native flora had independently evolved at least 4 mechanisms for catching and digesting animal protein. Category 4. Kalen had trained warriors from Category 2 worlds and considered them admirably resilient. He had visited a Category 3 world once on academic study. He had not slept well for a week after returning. Zarya walked into the arena like she owned the floor beneath her feet. She was not the largest fighter the Concordat had ever hosted. The Gorth delegation had sent a warrior nearly 3 times her mass. The Velthine champion stood almost a full head taller. By the raw measurements that Kalen's analytical system used to calculate combat potential, reach, mass, bone density, reflex arc, sensory range, she ranked 9th of the 12 competitors assembled for the Concordat's annual proving. Kalen had watched the ranking system be wrong before. He watched it now. The first match was against a Telvan. The Telvan were fast. Genuinely, almost unfairly fast, their nervous systems ran on a different chemical pathway than most organic life, and their reaction time had been benchmarked at 0.04 seconds, roughly half of what most humanoids could achieve. They were slender, with 4 arms, each capable of independent targeting, and they had won the proving 3 times in the last decade. The match lasted 47 seconds. Not because the Telvan lost quickly. Because Zarya made it look like 47 seconds was longer than she needed. Kalen watched the recording 4 times afterward, each time pausing at the same moment, the instant the Telvan launched its combination sequence, a blur of 4 simultaneous strikes that had ended every previous match it had ever fought. It was textbook. It was perfect. It was the most statistically reliable finishing move in the Concordat's combat database. Zarya slipped through it. Not around it. Not backward from it. Through the gap between the first and second arm, turning her body at an angle that Kalen's modeling software flagged as anatomically improbable, redirecting the 3rd strike into the 4th, and using the Telvan's own momentum to introduce its face to the arena floor at a velocity that ended the conversation immediately. She stood up, rolled her left shoulder once like she was working out a kink, and walked to the center of the arena to wait for the judge's call. The arena was silent for 3 full seconds. Then it was not silent at all. "She's favoring that left shoulder," said Kalen's aide, Press, a young Velthine who had been assigned to him for the season. "Possible injury from the impact transfer." "No," Kalen said, watching her. The angle she turned at would have stressed the. "She's aware of it," Kalen said. "She knows the shoulder took strain. She's cataloging it. Filing it away." He paused. "She's already planning around it." Press looked at him. "You can tell that from watching her stand still?" Kalen said nothing. He had been studying warriors for 3 centuries. He recognized the look. It was the look of something calculating its next move before the current one was finished, before the applause had even peaked, before the adrenaline had crested. He had seen it in perhaps 6 fighters in his entire career. All 6 had been dangerous in ways that statistics could not fully capture. The second match was against the Gorth. The Gorth outmassed her by a factor of 3. Their hide could stop a blade. Their grip strength was sufficient to bend structural metal. They had not been defeated in single combat at a concordat, proving in recorded history, a streak going back 112 years, across 7 different Gorth champions. They did not win through technique. They won through the fundamental physical reality that when something that large decided to hold you, you stayed held. It lasted 2 minutes and 19 seconds. This one, Kalen watched in real time with his full attention. Zarya did not try to match strength with the Gorth. She was not stupid, that much was already obvious. Instead, she moved like water, constantly, never allowing contact to be maintained for more than a fraction of a second, redirecting force rather than absorbing it, letting the Gorth's own mass become its liability. She struck precisely and then was elsewhere. She hit joints. She hit the 3 nerve clusters that Kalen happened to know were pressure-sensitive on Gorth physiology, happened to know because it was specialized xenobiology not commonly distributed outside of concordat medical literature. How did she know where they were? The Gorth fell. The arena did not go silent this time. The arena erupted. Zarya looked up at the observation deck. Kalen could not have said with certainty that she was looking at him specifically, through the polarized glass, from that distance. But something in the angle of her chin, the steadiness of her gaze, suggested she knew exactly who was watching. She gave a small nod. Then she rolled that left shoulder again, and walked off the floor. Kalen found her in the preparation area an hour later. She was wrapping her hands, methodically, the way someone wraps things when they have done it 10,000 times and it has become a form of meditation. She did not look up when he entered, though he knew she heard him. Her posture shifted almost imperceptibly, the subtle realignment of someone who had catalogued a new presence in their space and assigned it a threat level. He sat across from her. The Gorth nerve clusters, he said. That information is not in general circulation. Concordat medical files aren't as secure as you think, she said, without looking up. We noticed that about 6 months ago. Filed a report. Nobody seemed worried. Kalen was quiet for a moment. You prepared specifically for each opponent. We study. That's what we do. She glanced up at him then, dark eyes level and unhurried. On our world, you don't walk into a situation without knowing as much as possible about what can hurt you. Seems like common sense. Your species evolved in a Category 4 environment. Yeah. She tied off the wrap, flexed her fingers. We noticed. Kalen studied her. 3 centuries of training warriors, and he found himself genuinely uncertain what he was looking at. Not because she was incomprehensible, but because she was entirely comprehensible, in ways that were more unsettling than mystery would have been. She was not superhuman. She was not alien. She was simply a human who had grown up on a world that killed the unprepared, joined an institution that refined that survival instinct into something systematic, and then had the audacity to walk into a concordat arena and treat it like Tuesday. The proving has 2 more rounds, he said. I know. The remaining competitors are? I know, she said again, and there was something almost gentle in it, the patience of someone who had already done the homework and was waiting politely for the conversation to catch up. I've studied them. Kalen stood. He had come with questions and found instead a clarity that was harder to sit with. The Concordat believed humanity was not ready for integration into our combat traditions, he said. That your species lacked the physiological foundation. Zarya looked at him. We kept hearing that, she said. Figured we'd come show you what the foundation looks like. She turned back to her wraps. Kalen walked out of the preparation room, back toward the observation deck, back to his console and his models and his 3 centuries of accumulated certainty, all of which felt considerably lighter than it had that morning. In 2 more rounds, he suspected, it would feel lighter still. Somewhere in the observation deck, 12 species were already revising their threat assessments of the small blue world at the edge of the outer rim. They were, most of them, arriving at the same conclusion. They should have started sooner.